Which vessel?
Would
It
it,
shows up on here, but you can't really see it in the water. Mom.
is it the gonadal?
It's one that I went over with several of you already.
Oh, is it the suprarenal?
No.
Okay, well, we're just guessing at this point.
Vertebra.
I think it was in the abdomen.
What's this vessel right there entering the liver
Hepatic portal.
Hepatic portal.
vein?
Vein.
There's also the hepatic vein, which is a different vein. It's the one going into the inferior vena cava. This hepatic portal vein is the one that takes the food, the nutrient-rich blood from the digestion of the food in the intestines to the liver to be processed. And that's why they have it as a, and that's why I like this model very much. The PowerPoints that I had everything blue and you couldn't differentiate. This is a auxiliary, accessory drainage system in the body because all of that needs to be processed by the liver, otherwise it would be toxic to the body. Not only toxic because you have toxins in there, bacteria, whatever you take in the way of diet, it also is so concentrated in nutrients it would be toxic. Okay? So the liver has to process it. So that's the hepatic. That's the hepatic portal vein, which is formed from the merging of the superior and inferior mesenteric. That's the splenic that kind of piggybacks on there, but inferior, superior mesenteric. Sometimes I will ask indirect questions about that, and I'll ask you, the hepatic portal, you identify the hepatic portal vein, and then I'll say what vessels merge to form that, and you'll tell me, and then I might ask you on a third question, where's the blood coming from in those vessels? And you would say the intestines. So the nutrient-rich blood from the intestines, superior and inferior, join to form the hepatic portal. I always have something like that on the exam. Okay? I always have, because that is very important to understand with respect to the circulation of the body. Now, the leg vessels, usually I will ask on the WAR model, but you can see very clearly here that represents the greater saphenous, okay? And this, of course, is the femoral becoming the popliteal. Anything below that, I would ask on the WAR model because it's not clear here. You can clearly see the, hopefully you can clearly see I want to keep it at a mag to where I don't have to keep changing it. You can see the head and neck vessels coming off. Of course, the head's turned like this, so it's gonna not be clear really on both sides, but you can see right there off of the arch of the aorta, that little branch coming off here and here would be the brachiocephalic, and then this would be the common carotid, and then the subclavian. Over here, those same two branches come directly off the arch of the aorta. Okay? And then you see the venous drainage of tissue. You see the subclavian over here coming in and joining the other subclavian. And right after they go underneath the clavicle, they become the brachiocephalics, and the two brachiocephalic veins join to form the superior vena cava. Okay? Of course, this is the inferior vena cava down here, joined by formed by the iliacs merging to form the inferior vena cava. All right, now, if I have a pointer right here on this structure, what would you say? Complete answer. Identify the structure at the pointer.
Left pulmonary vein.
Left
Pulmonary.
pulmonary artery.
What?
It's not going where.
No, yeah. All right. Now, let me remind you of this. The definition of an artery is the vessel that takes blood away from the heart. This is coming from the pulmonary trunk right here. It's taking blood away from the heart. Ignore the color, okay? This is one time that you might want to be colorblind. Any other time you don't want to be colorblind. If it's leaving the heart, it's an artery. If it's coming back to the heart, it's a vein. So this is the vein coming back to the left side. This is the artery leaving the right side of the heart. So blood that's being pumped away from the heart is an artery. Blood that's coming back to the heart is the vein. Okay? All right. And then you can see the internal parts, the different valves of the heart, which I'll go over with that model there. Somebody identify that structure right there. What's the side?
Right.
Okay. My recommendation is if there's two sides, put the side down first, because otherwise you're going to forget and you're going to lose a point. Okay? So that's right. This would be the left over here. And it's right at that junction that those two lymphatic ducts, the thoracic and the right thoracic duct and the right lymphatic duct, drain back into that subclavian. These, of course, are the subclavians, brachiocephalic. We went over that. This is the hepatic artery here, that after the nutrient-rich, or the blood coming in from the intestines has been processed in the liver, it will go into the hepatic vein, little veins, and the big hepatic vein into the inferior vena cava. Now, you were asking about the unpaired branches off of the aorta. You can see them on the model, but I think they're clearer on this, so let me. So this first one right here, that little stub is the celiac, and then you go down, and this one would be the superior mesenteric on this model, and this one right here would be the inferior mesenteric. Don't let these two that are paired, see how these are, this is paired, two paired vessels here and here. Those are the gonadal. Now, right and left gonadal would be the correct answer, depending on which one I point to in here. But if I use one of the torsos, and I have it opened up to where you can tell by the viscera or the organs in the pelvic cavity which gender it is, to be completely correct, you'd have to put either right or left ovarian, right or left testicular, okay? And a hint, I think the only model that is gender related is a female, okay? So it would be right or left ovarian. All right, so abdominal aorta is coming down here. Okay, you asked about the aorta. So you have the ascending arch, and the part that goes behind the heart is the descending or thoracic aorta. It comes through this opening in the diaphragm, the aortic hiatus, and becomes the abdominal aorta. And then over here, that's the left common iliac, right common iliac. As soon as these two internal iliacs come off, they become the right and left external iliac. And then as they go down through the inguinal area, that same, right through here, it becomes the femoral and then the popliteal. Now this one I usually don't ask about, but this one over here that branches off is called the deep femoral. And then your drainage, of course, would be via the same thing. That's the femoral vein. Actually, when you put in when you have to put in a central line scanty peripheral IV access, you can do it either up here up here in the IJ, that's my preference. You can go subclavian, right underneath here, or the last resort is you put it down here in the femoral vein. The problem with putting it in the femoral vein, the main reason that's a problem is because it's more likely to become infected down in the groin than it is up in the neck. Okay? So that's basically the type of things I would ask you on that model. So that's a good model. Expect at least, there's 3 of them back there. Expect at least one of them, if not 2, to be on the practice. All right, hard. So I'm going to go over this kind of quickly because we already went over it with that other model. But the ascending arch, descending is here, aorta or thoracic. So that's the brachiocephalic stub of the brachiocephalic trunk there. This would be the left common carotid, left subclavian. Those 2 come off of this over here. This, of course, is the pulmonary trunk with the left, and the one going underneath the arch there, left and the right pulmonary arteries, because they're taking blood away from the heart. This, of course, that would be the left brachiocephalic and right brachiocephalic joined to form the superior vena cava. The inferior is down here. Here you see coming back from the lungs, the right and left pulmonary veins that will drain blood into the left ventricle. Atrium, excuse me. Left atrium, okay? So, once again, the arteries come off the pulmonary trunk, and then the veins are coming back into the left atrium and soon to be sent out to the body via the left ventricle. These 2 structures are the auricles. They can allow greater expansion of the atria for venous return of blood, either from the body or from the lungs. Now, if I have, okay, let me just ask you this. See that little indentation down there? What is that?
That's the it's the ovalis, yeah.
So that's a fossa ovalis because this is an adult heart. That's what the foramen ovale becomes. It closes and you have that, it's closed, but you have that little indentation showing where it was. That, what does that represent right there? The what? Good. That's the sinoatrial node. That's the SA node. Okay? That would be the AV node. Now, I prefer this model. Maybe we won't ever use that one again.
So now we can't have nice things.
But on this one, it really doesn't have, the SA node actually would be right here, but it's just, it's not well designated. This one I like to use because I'm not even going to point to it. See right there where the AV node is, that little nodule? That's the AV node. And of course, this would be the bundle of His, or the AV bundle, and these are the right and left bundle branches, and all of these are the Purkinje fibers. So that's the conduction system. SA node is the pacemaker.
For electrical
And then you
activity.
have the AV node. And then you have the bundle of His, or the AV bundle. And then the 2 bundle branches. I didn't go over this in great detail in lecture, but when you remember the first, second, and third degree blocks that we talked about, AV blocks, there's also a bundle branch block. Does anybody know, and I'm not going to ask you this, I just want to see if anybody looked at the notes closely enough. What do you see on an EKG when you have a bundle branch block?
Is there another?
Remember the QRS? It's kind of